So what safety measures do you take, especially with the online hailing cabs? You personally, do you know, look behind? Because, you know, the situation with Shiro's daughter is that they got into this cab and then they realized there was somebody in the boot. So I think it was, you know, those two cars where the boot iko hapo, those two very small, you know them, those two white ones, very notorious with a very uncomfortable black seat. We will not mention the brand, okay? Unatujua, hata ukiona ni hiyo, una cancel ride, unapeana reason nyingine. As in, you can feel the earth. And if you know the content creator, Dan Obura, first of all, he talks about another brand of cars that you can feel every pebble. And he just has this deep hate for that, for that specific car. So, you know, this we're not talking about, we're talking kale ka white kama ka boflo. And then at the back seat, it's
just, those cars were meant to be carrier.
Yeah, they were meant for
ferrying parcels and small goods, not for human beings.
And then zikashipiwa huku Kenya, wakaongeza ka bench, you know? So basically, they locked the car doors, and then there was somebody in the boot who was able now to control the situation between the two of them. They can't get out while the driver, you know, says threats and everything. Anyway, it's just a very traumatic situation. And regardless of their age, because sometimes you'll tell somebody a story and then they're like, mimi ingekuwa mimi, ningembox, nimkick, niruke kwa dirisha. But when you're in the moment, sometimes you freeze and you think it won't happen to you, or you think you're going to be braver. And then when it's happening, you actually can't believe it's happening. It's like an out-of-body experience. And in that moment, it's very dangerous. So what are some of the measures you can take so that when you find yourself in this situation, you know how to act? And number one on that list is sharing the trip. Okay, I've done this with Kafami so many times. As in, so even if the driver acts or coughs funny, na share a trip immediately. So that if I go missing,
at least you can
you know where I was, you know who I went with. So yeah, just share your trips with your close friends and your family members and just anyone who just cares about you, who will ask, kwa nini hujafika, uko wapi? Yeah.
But like, here's what I feel like. We make the checklist how you or I do it, right? So you've said a very, very important one, where is you share your trip. But that's once you have gotten inside the car. What are the things you do before, like pre-getting in the car? Mimi Kwanza, I am one of those people who, through a very interesting story, I realized how important it is to know who you're talking to. How did I do that? Okay, we were trying to take a cab from home to town. From home in Rye to town. And usually cabs are hard to find sometimes, so you just hop on whichever one you get to. But by instinct, usually when I order for a cab, I will call the number that is provided on there, so I can either give them instructions, or I can
tell them where you
are, where I am, all of these things, or just find out how far they are, right? Because they could be stopped somewhere and they're not moving for a bit. So usually immediately I call a cab, immediately I order, I call. So here I am calling, the number isn't going through. She wasn't picking at first. So eventually she picked up and she's like, hey, I'm like, yeah, Aniko Hapa and Hapa, where are you? She's like, I'm sorry, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm waiting, I've just ordered for a taxi and you're my driver, so where are you? And immediately she tells me, I'm so sorry, actually I've had the same problem going on for a while. I'm like, what do you mean? She says that someone stole her account and they're now using her account to take people from place to place. However, from the rumors she's been getting from the other people who've been calling her on the same number once they've been picked up, they are thieves.
You get robbed.
So you get into the car, you're robbed, right? Yeah. Or a little small kidnapping type situation, like they hold you against your
drive you to an ATM.
Yes, stuff like that. So then she tells me, and I've been trying to report it to the company that has employed me or gave me that account, but they're not really responding quickly. And that's a story I've had a lot, especially about this one cab service. So she told me, just kindly cancel the ride, and I'm really sorry again for the inconvenience. Yeah. So I canceled the ride. No. As soon as I hung up, there was someone already calling me. So I picked up. I'm like, hey, it was another mama. The mama says, hello, uko wapi? I'm like, no. I've just decided to cancel. She's like, aye, so una cancel. So I tell her, yeah, I've decided to cancel. She was so rude. I just hung up and I cancelled.
So
and
be
I blocked
careful.
That number. So what do? Immediately you order for a ride, call. Even if you're calling through the app. Because you have the free app call or the call. Call. Actually talk to this person. And number 2, after they've arrived, especially nowadays, it's very tricky because Tori just said it here.
Confirm the plates.
The problem is nowadays they'll tell you something like that. What she said. I just changed my car. My car is in the garage. Or no. What I've heard is there's this one taxi service where multiple people can operate the app. As in you can share your access. And therefore, it can, as long as they're not driving at the same time, so I get the app service as a driver, and then I drive, or Turi drives. So when I'm not driving, Turi picks up my account and she drives. So that can be a very fishy situation. It was very scary to actually find out this information. So make sure you verify. And if at all you do end up getting in that car that is not the registered number, make sure you send your trip information and tell whoever the number plate is actually such and such. It's not the same one on the app.
Yeah, I actually, whenever that situation happens, and I'm in a rush, I'm like, cheki, usini kidnap. And we laugh about us, mimi siwezi kukidnap, mimi siwezi, nakwambia, mimi ni mama ya mtu. You know, we kiki the whole time. And I even noticed as a girl, sometimes you have to make conversations with this person just to figure out where they are, especially when it feels off. Ooh, hey. It is so tough being a woman in the times we're in. Another thing you could do to just ensure you're safe is sit at the back left of the car, okay? This way you have a direct line of sight to what this driver is doing. If anything fishy starts happening, you can see what is happening. Even if they turn back to grab your phone, you'll be able to react quickly. But if you want to become a passenger princess, in a cab that you're paying for, if this person was to do anything as simple as unclipping your seatbelt and slamming on the brakes, now you're passed out. As simple as grabbing your phone and locking the car doors.
A knife or a gun.
Exactly. It is so simple to take advantage of you when you're so close to them. So, Katie back left. And I even saw this other thing of sitting directly behind the driver. And if they do or say anything, you're like, I'm going to strangle you, okay? If you're going to die, we're going to die together. But that's extreme. Scary. That is very extreme. Just sit on the back left of the car. This way you're able to see what this person is doing.
In addition to that horror story, there's another one. A girl was driving past Chiromo. She'd gotten in the cab. She was a bit drunk. She was just coming from the club.
Yeah, Chiromo is actually a hotspot.
Yeah, it really has become a hotspot. So she'd sat in the back left, but noticed, you know, when you're inebriated, it's difficult for you to really be clear about what's going on. Anyway, she noticed that the driver was driving really slow. So she's like, what's going on? At some point, guess what? Someone came, opened the car door, snatched her phone, and ran, right? So there's no way that that was a coincidence. What am I saying with this? If you've gotten into the car and you're in this back seat, amazing. You're doing great, sweetie. But look, the drivers in
situational awareness. Lock yours.
The drivers in car open, you ni shughuli yake. Yours, make sure you lock both. Kama uko peke yako, lock both doors. I do this because nowadays they're back here. But kama ni aju, lock and make sure they stay locked. Be checking because sometimes they will just unlock it without your knowledge. So lock the car doors and ensure they stay locked for the entirety of your trip.
Okay, yeah, and also check out the routes you're on. Figure out if this is how I head home. Asiweze kuambia, madam, hapa kuna shortcut. Do not accept those abrupt changes in the route you're using because utajipata kwa misitu. Utasema ulikuwa unaenda wapi.
Na pia uki accept atumia different route, kwani who doesn't have the maps on your phone. Si ufungue maps.
Hata
Uangalie unaenda
niangalie.
wapi. Uangalie anakuambia tunapiga hii ni shortcut, unaangalia unaambia mkubwa.
Hapa hakunanga shortcut.
Hapa naona kwanza kuna dead end. Hebu tuende venye tu tumeambiwa. Don't be an idiot. Another very important one is you always ensure, yes, you're cruising, you're happy, you've finally gotten into the taxi and all is well, happy to the world, you know, kumbaya. Even if the driver was sounding like they're the most Christian pastor with prophetic abilities possible, why are you sleeping?
Why are you dozing off?
Why are you sleeping? Why are you sleeping in a random person's car?
Sleeping with a stranger. It's
Literally,
basically
you are sleeping with a stranger. Literally, anything could happen. You could, like, what? Ata kufunga macho. It's very tricky. It's very tricky. Don't be sleeping in the car. If you are sleeping in the car, make sure your friend is there. Yeah, naamka, mana switch sleep cycles, okay?
Exactly.
You want to 15 minutes here and 15 minutes if it's a long trip. But try not to sleep in the car.
True. I hope we really helped you. I hope we entertained you. I hope you all had fun because we did. My name is Turife, and I'll see you tomorrow.
My name is Kafomi. Bye.
Bye.